not just in this planet Earth, but in many other planets also. So, who's the creator of all of this? We are not able to see them. Like in the Shastra, like yesterday, I said that Krishna himself, the Lord, Supreme Lord himself says that I cannot be seen by this eyes. I cannot be known by the senses that you have. I cannot be known by this material intellect. What does he say? I can be known purely by my friends, who are my friends, who love me, who are the people who love the Lord. They are known as devotees. So through the eyes of devotee, through the eyes of the love that they share, what is that love? Devotion. Can we understand the Supreme Creator? This is one conclusion. I'm just repeating the conclusion. We'll understand it in true sense at the end of the session. So which means now we come to a conclusion after citing so many examples that there is a creator behind the creation, right? Now there is a big problem. If this computer, which is non-living, stationary meaning which we cannot move, until and unless I don't use my hand, the computer will not move. This stationary computer has a moving creator, that is human being. So what is the problem in accepting that this world which has been created, this living entities which can move, actually has a creator which is also movable, which is also a person? The first question that yesterday we were discussing that everybody failed to answer is creator a person or not? The answer is creator is a person. Why would he not be a person? And now further we will see how he is a person. What are the evidences? Because we have been studying from a day on, Shastras has ample amount of evidences. And also because firstly, because in the modern world, we are students of science. So we need a lot of evidence. So today we'll be talking about all the evidence, who all have said that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Now, let us first discuss about, now if you see the slides, the first slide is saying, Bhagavan kaun, ek ya anek. The next slide is talking about the various topics that we'll be discussing today. Like we are famous now from the day first session, we are famous for Brahman. So we will see there are so many books of wisdom. Why Bhagavad Gita? Now we know why Bhagavad Gita, right? Now second question, Bhagwan kaun hai? That also will come to me. Third, Bhagwan ek ya anek? Sakar ya nirakar? Right now we have postulated the statement that God is a person, right? And what about the other gods, Devi, Devta? Who are they? So all these mysteries will be revealed to all of us at the end of the session. Now, before we head ahead, let us try to cut some of the myths. Some myth means which is not true, which is assumed but is shown to the world as truth. Now, I have a question for everybody. How many of you believe in God and how many of you do not believe in God? It's also a very important question. Though we are talking about who God is, sometimes we don't believe in God only. So can anybody say, do they believe that God exists or they believe that God does not exist? Or if they exist also, in what form they exist? What is your understanding till date? Please volunteer and add on. You need not be correct, just add your purview. Prerna Mataji. Yeah, Hare Krishna Sunita Mataji.
Yeah, yes, Mataji, I can believe that there is a God. God really exists in this whole universe. In my point of view.
Okay, in your point of view, you believe that God exists. So, what about Prerna Mataji?
Hello? Mataji, can you repeat the questions one at a time?
Hello?
Hello, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, how are you? I think from my point of view, I would like to say that as a human being, we are a little not observant about things to such an extent. But I think हाम्रो चाहिँ मुडको अनुसार हामीले चाहिँ म्याक्सिमम अफ द टाइम भगवानलाई पर्सिभ गर्छ. अगर धेरै खुसी छ भने वी आर सो थ्याङ्कफुल टु गड होइन. अन्त अगर कोही दुःख हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ भगवान किन म नै मलाई नै किन मात्रै भएको, तपाईँ हुनुहुन्छ कि हुनुहुँदैन भनेर हामी क्वेसन गर्छ. तो फ्रम माई पोइन्ट अफ भ्यू चाहिँ मलाई के लाग्छ भने चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ हाम्रो मुडको अनुसार भगवान छ या छैनलाई चाहिँ हामीले जस्टिफाई गर्छौँ. आई थिङ्क द्याट्स द थिङ फ्रम माई पोइन्ट अफ भ्यू.
That's an amazing realization. Yes, exactly. हामीले गर्छौँ जब सही हुन्छ त God is with us एकदम राम्रो नहुँदा चाहिँ God exist गर्दैन भनेर नि. Absolutely true. This is what we factually do. Until and unless we don't have a complete knowledge, just हाम्रोमा अहिलेसम्म त Bhagavad Gitaको complete knowledge आएको छैन. त हाम्रो यही understanding छ. Thank you so much for such a beautiful contribution. Anybody wants to contribute more? Please, you are free to contribute. Anybody is there in the crowd who doesn't believe in God or believes that the creation was
Mataji, I can believe in God.
you don't believe in God?
No, I can believe in God because
Okay.
actually I have experienced that the body is present in our body, like through meditation. So मैले चाहिँ अब त्यहाँनिर एक्सपिरियन्स गरेको कि हामी चाहिँ अब मलाई लागेको कुरा चाहिँ जब अब मलाई त्यो भाइब्रेसन चाहिँ एउटा भाइब्रेट आउँछ नि अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ कि भगवान इज अलवेज प्रेजेन्ट इन आवर बडी अब प्रेजेन्ट इन आवर सोल भनौँ न
हजुर
अनि भगवान चाहिँ जहिले पनि अब हुन्छ नि हामीसँगै हुन्छ हामीसितै हुन्छ त्यही लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ मैले एक्सपिरियन्स गरेकोमा चाहिँ.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful realization.
Mataji, I also believe in God because I believe that though we can't see, but we can feel the power. We can feel whenever I feel so sad and when I think of him or her, then I can feel the intense that energy within me. So I really feel good that time. So I believe that there is a God.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing thing that most of us here believe God exists. Actually, because that's a reality. God exists. If the creation has been created, then how can we even have a doubt about the creator? The creator does exist. And today we will be able to have all the answers in our pockets so that tomorrow, if we meet any of our friends, you know, who's not having the sufficient idea about how much great the God is and God does exist, where does he exist, who has said, all these answers you will have, and you will be able to convince all of your friends about the greatness of the Lord that we are all aware of, right? Like Prerna Mataji is saying that depending upon our mood, we serve God, but we believe in God. So we are believers. Now we are all on the same platform of believers. Now we will increase and convince ourselves so much that it becomes easy for us to be others. Yeah, anybody else? Okay, so here we have a population of people who believes that God exists. But sadly, we belong to a world where the ideal believers are not there. There are people who say that only because I cannot see God. Where is God? Show me God, then I will believe. I belong to that category in the past. I said, no, God doesn't exist because I can't see him. Well, I was unaware of all of these facts that we discussed yesterday, that our limited senses do not have the capacity to see the God. Second thing, there are so many people who say that, why to go and worship the stone? Why don't we worship each other? God is inside our heart only. I'm also God, you are also God. Let's worship each other. There are people who say so. Okay? That is not wrong, but that is not the right way. Just like science is incomplete without the Vedas. It is not that it's completely wrong, but it is not complete science. Similarly, they're not completely wrong, but not completely correct. And the third thing, very common, one of the most common questions, I think everybody says, in our temple that we have in our house, we don't have just one God. We have many gods, many gods. So who are they? You know, there's a very interesting conversation that was happening between a mother and a daughter. The mother was doing arati to all the gods present there. Big, big, beautiful, beautiful posters of Lord Shiva, Lord Lakshmi, Goddess Durga, Lord Ganesha, Krishna, Vishnu. Everybody was there. And she was doing big arati, you know. And she was in hurry also, and she was doing this arati. And the daughter looked at her and said, the lady was hurry because it was Tuesday and she had to go to a temple. She had to go to Hanuman temple. So she was in hurry. So she was like, she was circumambulating this the whole temple, the small temple that she had in her house. And then she was also giving arati, showing arati to the picture of Lord Shiva. And then she was in such a hurry that she didn't wanted to show the incense stick or this arati plate to goddess Durga. But then she had a fear in her head, like, oh, if I'll not show it to her, then she'll be angry. So then she was managing her time and showing to goddess Durga as well. Now this daughter is watching all her mother's activity. And then after she's done, she asked, Mom, I have a question for you. So she's already late. She has to go to temple. But then, and the mother says, no, I have got to go to temple. Today is Tuesday. I should not miss it. And then that day went off. The next day again, the same thing was happening. The same activity was going on. And it was Wednesday. Now today she has to go to another temple, another god's temple. So today, child said, Mom, today please listen to me. So since yesterday she didn't listen, so today she did listen to her daughter. And the daughter said, I see there are so many gods in your house. And you don't even have time. You know, so Monday you go to this temple, Tuesday you go to this temple, Wednesday you go to that temple. Why don't you focus in one God? Oh, that was a pretty tough question for a small lady to do, a small girl to do to such a big lady. Then mother said, no, all gods are one. Then the child was so smart. The child said, okay, if all gods are one, then why don't you focus in one? Why are you unnecessarily putting efforts in everything? All gods are one, right? So this is one of the common problem or common myths that is associated with God, with Supreme Lord. Who is He? Is He one? Is He many? Can He be seen? Can He not be seen? Does He have a hand? Does He not have a hand? Does He have a feature? Does He not have a feature? All these questions will be answered today. Now, there's a very funny statistics in relation to this. It is said that only 2% out of the whole world population is multitasker. Multitasker, you understand multitasking? More than one work at a time. There's only 2% of the world population who are multitasker, can do more than one activity simultaneously. And you know what all of us think? All of us think that we belong to that 2%, however we are not. The same thing has been explained by Krishna. Even in Bhagavad Gita also. He says, worshipping me in many ways actually is worshipping me only. But that's not complete knowledge. That's not the right way. There is a right way to do so. There is a right way to do so, right? So they say not the famous statements. If you put your leg in two boats, then of course there's going to be one thing. We're going to fall down. We're just going to drown ourselves. Similarly, there's so many gods whom to worship, whom not to worship. If I worship the one God and if I fail to worship the other God is going to be angry. So many fears, so many things attached to it. So all of this question will be answered with the help of Bhagavad Gita. Since we know that Bhagavad Gita is a spoken word. By whom? By the Supreme Lord. So this word spoken by the Lord, unlike us, is not full of faults. It's faultless. It's known as axiomatic truth, a Purusha. It's not like us. It's not like the words that we speak today and tomorrow we change from our own words. It's fixed. So, like in common, like Krishna himself says in chapter 10, Bhagavad Gita, and sloka number 8, he said, Aham sarvasya prabhava, mata sarvam pravartate, iti mat prabhachante nam buddha bhava samanvitaha. He's saying everything actually is coming from me, you know, and I am actually the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhava, mataha sarvam pravartate. Everything is emanating from me. I'm the source of everything. And the second line is saying, which we will be dealing in coming sessions, iti matva bhajante mam. And the one who accepts this and the one who takes my shelter actually becomes perfect in his search. This is Krishna's take. I'm just repeating the words of Lord Krishna. And he says to his dear friend Arjuna, Mataha parataram nanyat kinit asti dhananjaya. He's saying that Mayi sarvam idam pruttam sutre mani gava ivaha, which means he's saying, Arjuna, there is no truth which is superior to me, above me. Everything is dependent on me. This is what Krishna, he himself said. Who says that I'm a god? Like, I cannot say I'm a god. I have to prove myself to call myself as God. Or else I'm not supposed to say, right? Because this is a world where evidences are very much needed. So for that, my dear friends, since this is the statement of Krishna, so I did put forward the statement of Krishna himself, who said that I am the source, I am the cause, I am the originating source of everything. And if you simply understand this, you're successful. These are the words of the Supreme Lord. Now, to prove this, just like we have been proving all the statements from session 1, we also have the proof to prove this. Just like when we were studying, when I was studying, there is a definition of health. We work with evidence. So there is some bodies which help us to define things. Similarly, health, according to bodies like WHO, World Health Organization, the one which is basically taking care of all the issues pertaining to health of the living beings. So they have defined health. That health is known as what? It's a state of balance. What kind of balance? Bodily, with mind, spiritually, emotionally, socially, and there should be absence of any kind of other discrepancy. This is the definition of health WHO has given. Similarly, in a Vedic institute, in a Vedic state, in this Vedas, in the Sastras, the great teachers, because we said yesterday only, all this knowledge is coming from the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord gave it to Brahma, the first created being, in his heart, right? Because he said, Teni Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavya. In 1.1.1 of the Bhagavatam, this is purely stated. So this is coming, this transcendental knowledge is coming from the Supreme Lord, who is spotless, does not have any kind of default, and is coming slowly through Guru Parampara, Guru Sishya, Guru Sishya, Guru Sishya, and it is coming. So similarly, Vyasadeva. Now we know that Vyasadeva is who? He is the literary incarnation. He wrote all the scriptures for us, because we said that people in Kali Yuga, with time, circumstances, the capacity of human being have reduced. So we forget. So for all of us, he wrote. So his father in Vishnu Puran actually has defined what do you mean by Bhagavan. To see in Bhagavad Gita, anytime in future you'll be reading now Bhagavad Gita, there are great people who are speaking, like Arjuna Uvacha. Uvacha means said. Arjuna said, Arjuna says. So Uvacha means he's saying, right? But when Lord Krishna was speaking, it is not said Krishna Uvacha, but instead it is said Bhagavan, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So this Bhagavan, why Krishna, in spite of so many others, have been connoted or allotted with this status of Sri Bhagavan? Let us understand the Sri Bhagavan. Bhagavan, if you divide the word Bhaga and Van, Van means, maybe you can just note down in your copy now. Everybody can note down. Bhagavan, Bhagvan. If you break the words Bhagavan, there is Vana. Vana means one who possesses. Jiske paas wo sab hai. One who possesses. And Bhaga. Bhaga means all the opulence, all the qualities, all the opulence. So it's saying, what are all this opulence? Now let us go back to the point of power. We talked about Narendra Modi ji. We talked about Aishwarya Rai. We talked about Hitler. We can talk about Sachin Tendulkar. Let us keep to these people. Or we can talk about the great Kali, right? So let us keep these people into our list and understand this definition of Bhagavan. So these all people are known for one quality. Like, for example, Aishwarya Rai Bachchan is known for her beauty. So see, Miss Universe, Aishwarya, beauty. Then someone like, for example, Bill Gates is known for what? He's richest. He's very rich personality, wealthiest. So he's known for that. The great Kali is known for his strength. And then we have, what more do we have in the list? Narendra Modi is also Prime Minister of India, right? He's known for that position. Similarly, we have Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein is known for his intelligence. So similarly, there is the definition of Bhagavan, which has been given. What does this definition of Bhagavan say? We will be dealing. It says that anybody who has 6 of the opulences, 6 of the qualities in himself, that person can be said as Bhagavan. Now, what are the 6 opulences or the 6 qualities? You can write down. The first quality is that he's the wealthiest, Ashwarya. He's the most powerful, like Hitler. He's the most famous, like Narendra Modi. He's the most beautiful, like Aishwarya Rai. He's the most knowledgeable, like Albert Einstein. And very important, he is, along with all of this, very renounced. Like great people like great personalities, like great rich people were very helpful. Like we can say of he should be very beautiful, he should be very knowledgeable, he should be a great renunciate, right? In this world, do we have anybody who has all these qualities at once? And if they do so, then he is a Bhagavan. He's definitely a Bhagavan. No doubt about it. If he has all this, then he's a Bhagavan. But sadly, nobody is able to show. Like Aishwarya Rai is, of course, the most beautiful, but she's not the most wealthiest, she's not the most powerful, she's not the most famous, she's not the most knowledgeable, she's not renunciate, or she may be, but to some degree. Not all of the qualities is available in one personality. But Krishna proved all of this. Krishna himself proved when he came in a human body, human form in this earth, he proved all of this by his activities. Like, for example, wealth, the first activity or the first opulence, Ashwarya. You wouldn't believe, but in this world, if a man marries one woman, it's difficult for him to sustain the woman, especially in COVID crisis like this. But Lord Krishna had 16,108 wives, and that's not a surprising thing. He had 16,108 wives, for whom he had 16,108 palaces, exactly the same. And in that, he had 16,108 selves. He actually made clones of himself. He could expand into 16,108 Krishna. None of the Krishna were running, okay, I'm doing here like this, now I have to go and meet another wife. No. The great personalities who had a vision of the spiritual vision to see Krishna at that time, to see that Krishna is cooking with one of his wives, and in another, Krishna is telling some stories, saying some pastimes. In another, Krishna is having a good playful talk with some of his wife. He could do that. Is it possible for anybody to do it? No. Big palaces, opulent palaces, 16,108 palaces. It's not a joke. So he's wealthiest of all. He proved it. Second, most powerful. He has proved so many times. Just after he came into this being, and he was a very small child, 3 months, a great demoniac personality known as Putana was trying to kill Krishna. But what did he do? Just by sucking the breast milk of Putana, Krishna took away the life air, from Putana, the most powerful. For 7 days, he could actually hold on to the Govardhan. He could do that. Who can do that? Can anybody do that? No. Srila Prabhupada, in his commentary to this, he says that if anybody can do that, Please, he's considered to be God, but nobody can sadly do it. Then famous. How many days can anybody be famous? Can be famous for 1 year, can be famous for 2 years, can be famous for 3 years, can be famous for 10 years, but not more than that. You'll miss universe for some time. Okay, but then people forget you. How much long will you be able to stretch your famous state of being? But Krishna has been known since time immemorial. Nobody knows from when he came into being. Till today. Even if people don't know about the greatness of Krishna, but they know about Krishna. Oh yeah, Krishna. The coward, the coward boy, the one who plays beautiful flute, the one who looks very beautiful. He's famous all around, all across, and now especially by the grace and by the mercy of great personalities like Srila Prabhupada, he's worldwide famous. So then we see Jnana, Krishna. Krishna knew everything. And this has been proven by Krishna himself with the help of Arjuna. If we read chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, we see that now Arjuna is already very much frustrated. Arjuna is already very much confused. Now he's asking, on top of that, now Krishna is adding one more tension. He's supposed to fight there in Kurukshetra. He's supposed to fight there. There is battle about to begin. And then Krishna is saying, okay, now listen to me, Arjuna. I'm going to give you the king of knowledge, this, that. He's about to begin. And Arjuna is saying, why are you saying it to me? Why am I selected for this? That time, Krishna gives us the right understanding of how much he's known. He says, oh Arjuna, why are you lamenting for something which is eternal? Na jayate mrite va kadatum nayam bhutva bhavitaya yatita ajoni dhyasa shvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Again, the same quotation has come, but now the purview is different. He's saying, why are you crying for this body? This body is only dying. The soul, all these people, they're shashvat, they're eternal. And along with this, in the next verse, Krishna says to Arjuna, listen, Arjuna, this knowledge was said before to you in different form you were in, but I was saying, so your individuality is also eternal. You were there in the past, you are there in the present, and you will be there in the future. I was there in the past, I'm there in the present, and I will be there in the future. Neither you, neither me. We both are eternal. But there is a very nice understanding of this sloka. What is that? Arjuna, irrespective of the eternal state of his being, was forgetful of his existence. Krishna, however, was aware of the past, of what Arjuna was. He's aware of what's going to happen and is aware of the present. So, who can give you details about past, future? Some hypnotherapist, some few incidents. Can you justify for that? No. If you open the great book of wisdom, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other big books in the varieties of pastors, there you see that there were great people who could remember. Just like yesterday we said that there were people who can remember their past life. Similarly, there were great munis, great scholarly people, great yogis who could actually remember their past lives. So there was a personality who could remember almost so many lifetimes. And he saw that he hasn't done this kind of sinful activities in so many lifetimes. Why is that he's getting this kind of result? He came in front of the God, in front of the Lord, Krishna. And he said, I haven't done all this thing. Why am I getting this result, this bad result? I haven't done something bad in the past. I went back. I have the capacity to go back in time. But then Krishna said, yes, you haven't done this time. Till this date of the calendar, but after that, you have done. So Krishna could remember that. So nobody is intelligent, nobody is as much as knowledgeable as Krishna. Because he says himself, Vedeshu, he says that the Vedas are emanating from me, the output of the Veda is also me, the ultimate of the Veda is also me. So he knows everything. Along with this, Vairagya. If anybody becomes rich in this world, along with richness, there's a price that he pays. What is that? Pride. What is that? He thinks that he's God. Now he has money. This is personal realization. We see people with a lot of money, They are people who not have all of these opulences. They're badly infected. There is a side effect of all this. We get a byproduct that there is pride. There's this idea that I can buy anything. I can do anything. I don't care about anybody because I have everything. But Lord Krishna, he is the supreme creator. He knows everything, past, present, future. He is the most beautiful, he is the most famous, he is the most powerful. In the battle of Kurukshetra, there, the great personalities were there, like Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation, great munis, scholars, great yogis were there. And you know, when the question came, who is the Arya, who is the chiefmost person to be worshipped here? The answer was not Vyasadeva. The answers were not all of this. The answers were Krishna. Only Krishna is to be firstly worshipped. That was said. But the person, for example, if we say HOD of some institute, HOD ma'am, can you sweep the floor? No, you will be just kicked then and there from that position. Because with a lot of power comes the side effect, right? Just like we said right now. But Krishna, on the other hand, who's not just HOD of one small organization, who is the creator, head of all of the creation. He's playing the role of a charioteer driver for his dear friend and his devotee, Arjuna. Charioteer driver. If you read the Mahabharata, you get to see that Krishna was not just playing the role for that day only. He himself used to clean, used to take care of the horses, make sure that the horses eat. He was factually taking the role of a charioteer driver, not to show that, oh, I'm so great, I'm becoming a charioteer driver and I'm so humble. No, he was humbly doing it. With what kind of an eye? With an eye of love. With love he was doing. With love he was reciprocating to his devotee. So he said, even though he possesses all, he's totally renounced. So from today onwards, since we are believers of God, and now we know the definition of God, if anybody has 6 of these qualities in one, they are to be considered God. But sadly, nobody has. So if anybody proclaims today, anywhere, anyhow, now you have an answer to give them. Now if you do this, all of this, show me right now. Enough. You're God. So now we understand why Krishna said God. This is the definition. Actually, it should end here only, because Krishna already says, right? He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. From me, everything is originated. Mata sarvam pravartate. From me, I'm the source of everything. And if anybody actually understands this and worships me, oh, he's going to be successful. He will achieve perfection of the search that we are doing to be happy. It has already been said. But however, we still need more understanding. Still, we need more conviction, right? So this definition fits in correct that Krishna is actually his supreme Lord. So now let's see forward what is there in the slides. Now we know what is the definition of God. Now let's see next. So till now we are convinced that Bhagavad Gita as it is authoritative, and that the science of Bhagavad Gita talks about 5 important subjects. Now another question will come. What about the other sastras, right? Other book of wisdom. There's not only one book of wisdom. There are lots of books of wisdom. So for this, we have a very nice understanding. Just like today we have COVID, and tomorrow we'll have something else, right? Similarly, if we try to understand why so many scriptures came into being, so many books like holy books or the book of wisdom like Bible, Quran, like various dharma like Bodh Dharma, why they all came into being. If Krishna is the Supreme Lord, if he has said before only that I'm the Lord, this is it. Why all this thing came into being? In medical science, we can understand this with very simple example. In medical science, there are certain protocols like nowadays it is very much advised that the deliveries of the mother, the deliveries of the babies should be done in institute. Because if the babies are delivered in hospital, the hospital has all the facilities. So what happens? The baby will also not die. And even if there are circumstances, then the baby is supposed to get facilities like ICU. That is available in hospital, but it is not available at home setting, at house. So 100% institutional deliveries. That's why so many programs are being run for that. But is it naturally possible every time that all the babies will be born in hospital? No. Still, people live in very sparse area. They live in very far away places that they cannot go to hospital. So in that setting, what do? Do we not do delivery? Do we not do anything? No, we have to do delivery. We have to save the child. That has to go on. So what do we do in that circumstances is that usually there are so many protocols. There are so many rules and regulations in hospital. When a patient comes, this is the position, this is the thing. And now, for example, a medical student happens to visit a village, and she's known for delivering babies in hospital. But however, she visits one village's house and she sees that the lady is about to deliver. Now she has been trained up, right? She has been trained up to do the procedure in a very professional way. But now here you cannot expect professional facilities, professional things. Now she has to do with whatever is available, with whatever is possible that she does that. But does not mean that she will forget the principle. That does not mean that she will not wash her hands and hold the baby. Does not mean that even if there is not gloves, she will look for things that can act as gloves. Which means the principle remains the same, right? The principle of asepsis, which means there should not be any kind of infection introduced to the baby or mother. That is one of the very important principles in medical science, right? That principle she will follow because that is the guideline in whatever position she's supposed to follow. But since here, the facility to follow this in the form of gloves, in the form of availability of many things is not there, right? Is not there. So she has to adjust with whatever is possible. For the main purpose of all of this thing is that the baby should be safe and the mother should be safe. That is the purpose. Similarly, we see in the whole Vedic Shastras, what is the purpose? Like Krishna could clearly say in the first text itself, why to say all this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? Krishna said at last, after saying so many things about so many methods, at last he says, Arjuna, you know what? Give up all of this. Just surrender to me. I will take away whatever bad things that you have. Then you are free. Then definitely you can come to me. He says that. Sarva dharma parityage mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva bhakti ma suchaha. He clearly says that. He could have said that at the first sloka. Why did he extend to last sloka? He could have said that at first sloka. Why did he extend to last sloka? There itself is an answer. So the next slide, in the next slide we will see that there are many things like Bodh Dharma came, like Isai Dharma came, Muhammad came. So many things have come. Why have they come, right? What is their position? Why did they come? We should know. We should just not know about the answers. Like the student there, who was very much taught in a class about the ideal delivery setting. But when she knows that the main purpose is that the principle should be followed and the aim should be fulfilled. Sometimes maybe we'll not get gloves. Sometimes we may not get the facility like that available at hospital. But we have to fulfill our work. That the baby should be safe and the mother should be safe. Similarly here also, like I said, Kali Yuga, in the first session only, that Kali Yuga is full of faults. And we will study in future sessions that there are characteristics of people of Kali Yuga. Like yesterday also we said. So similarly, with time, with circumstances, what happens? Principle remains the same, but maybe the steps are adjusted here and there. Maybe the first steps are done at first, or in some circumstances, maybe the third step becomes the first step and the first step becomes the third step. But however, the steps are done here and there, but it is done. Because the main thing is purpose. If all changes in the steps also fulfills the purpose, there is no problem, there is no harm. So if we see Lord Jesus never said that he's God. He said, I'm messenger of God. He said, I'm son of God. And I've come here to reveal, to tell you what is the message of God. And if we see, and if you read Bible, we'll come to a line where Jesus has said that there are many instructions. But since you all do not have the capacity, you all are not so faithful. So just listen to this. So he gave some testament, just follow this. That's enough for this period of time, right? For example, treating a particular disease, like I said, like I gave an example, there are a lot of protocols. But we see what is the degree at which the patient is ill. So depending upon that, we give the medicine. We don't give the whole, we don't say to the patient who comes, like for example, a patient comes to a doctor and for example, she has diabetes or she gets treated for diabetes. We will not say everything to her. Whichever is required at that time, whichever is helpful for her to get rid of or to protect herself, that will be said. Whichever she can digest. If I start saying about a dangerous complication at the beginning only, who knows, she will not be able to digest that reality and she may die, right? So similarly, when Jesus, at that time, the need of the art is the will of the God. That is one of the famous statements. Whatever was the need, that was only being given. That amount of instruction was only given. Like Isai came at 2000 years, when Muhammad came at that years. And like we said, Bodhi Dharma, it was already predicted that Lord Buddha is going to come. Like if we see why Lord Buddha came into being. At that time, like we see, everybody followed Vedic Shastras, Vedic injunctions. But the Vedic injunctions were taken mistakenly, were taken wrongly, and like the Vedic Shastras give us the facility to do animal sacrifice. Because at that time, the animal sacrifice were done basically because the Brahmanas there at that time were very pure. They were so powerful that as soon as they did animal sacrifice, that animal would get a higher body, would be turned into higher body. And that they could do. But the people at that time, they just took this injunction and took it as a chance to gratify their senses. And animal slaughterhouses began and non-violence to a degree that it became sinful. And we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya shaduskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He's gonna come at that hour when he has to protect his devotee or when he has to reciprocate to his devotee with loving exchanges. And he also comes to kill all the miscreants. And whenever there is too much of sinful activities and the real dharma is compromised, I will come again to re-establish dharma. So to re-establish the sinful activities that people were doing at that time, Buddha had to come by the will of the Supreme Lord. That's why Ahimsa Paramadharma was the tagline of that time, was the need, was the medicine of that time. So we see in the next slides, next slides. Yes, it is very much understood here. Like for example, when we are small, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. But if we say -2 is equal to what? We don't know. We think that, oh, this does not exist. This person is saying wrong. But actually, it's not like that. That statement is correct. There is a mathematics, there is a complex mathematics which exists. But for the finite, for the very small degree of intelligence that this little child has, and the capacity of that child cannot hold that statement, that complex mathematics. So that's why even in material education, we see it. And they could simply teach, that the whole life is about cooking. Start with that. Sleeping, that's it. We don't have to do all of this. No. It starts from the base ground. How much ever we can digest from a baby also. Like we have seen an example that as the baby is born, right? Baby is exclusively given things that she can digest, that the body can digest. 6 months exclusive breastfeeding. After that, when the organs completely develop to a point that they can start practicing or start experimenting things which the body can digest, we start with supplementary food after 6 months. Then slowly after eating, after taking of 6 months, everything is okay. Then they start with normal. Whatever the adult eats, the baby also eats, right? You see that. Actually, human body can eat anything. So that when the baby is born, human body can eat anything and we cannot start, right? Everything is started gradual. Similarly, Krishna could have said the statement at first. Why would he waste 48 minutes of his time, valuable time, in Kurukshetra, there, and save Bhagavad Gita? Could have just said, hey Arjuna, this is it, stop all of this. No, he didn't do it. He didn't do it because all of us are different. Everyone's capacity is different. So depending upon capacity, depending upon circumstances, depending upon time, the instruction have been given. But we are very fortunate. But we are very, very fortunate. If you see next to next slide, here you see, this is a very important point. In Bible, Jesus said, ye men of less faith, I have a lot to tell you, but cannot understand now. It is said that I have so many instructions that I'm supposed to say to you, but since you do not have the digesting power, you do not have those capacity to understand, so please take this. So he gives testimony. Just follow this instruction, you will be successful. You will be successful. Similarly, now you see Bhagavad Gita. If you just see, we are so fortunate. Krishna says in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, text 2, I am giving you complete knowledge. Sir, Vijnanamit. Complete knowledge beyond which there is nothing more to be known. All said and done. Even if you don't believe in Krishna, you don't believe in Bhagavad Gita, okay, fine. Bhagavad Gita say, what is the statement of others? Now we can believe Jesus. Jesus has himself said that I haven't said everything. So what it has been said is not complete. The complete knowledge is given in the form of Bhagavad Gita. And what he says in Bhagavad Gita, he said, Aham, I am the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavam, mata sarvam pravartate. It has clearly been said, not just by one authority, but have been said by all the great personalities who came into being. So yes, Prerna Mataji was saying, very interesting thing. Yes, she shared with us that we worship God as per our mood. Saying some people worship because there is fear in their head. If I do not pray, then something bad's going to happen. Some people do upon their wish. When things are good, oh, I do it. When things are bad, oh, it doesn't exist. Right? And some people think that karma is only dharma. There are so many things. So that is very much present. So if we see in the next slide, very importantly. Now Jesus said that I haven't given complete knowledge, and Krishna says that I have given you complete knowledge, and there's nothing more complete. This is complete. This is it. All the science here is complete. And so where to refer? Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Here we will basically be able to find all the knowledge that is required, all the knowledge that will make us happy. It is very much available. And by the grace of great personalities like Srila Prabhupada, this is available to us. If we have the opportunity sometimes to dwell back and ask great saintly person. The great saintly personalities, they had to hear such painful procedure. Hear, then put it inside, remember. And for us, right, and not just in this very advanced notepad or laptop. No, they did a lot of hard work for all of us. And Srila Prabhupada, he himself did so much of effort. He did so much of effort to publish this Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is now so much accessible on Veda-based, net, book, available at places like Gantok, Sikkim, so far off from all these things. That he went and he did so much struggle for us. So we should be very, 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 very much thankful that all of us got this opportunity. And we must accept the shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna and read these books that will help us understand about God. Now we'll see what does the Shastra say about. Now we have seen that Lord Krishna has said what Krishna has said himself. We have seen now what other authorities, like you see Jesus, who is the Son of God, messenger of God, great personalities, teacher, he's also Acharya, he has said, and what Krishna himself has said. Now we have come to a conclusion, at least an understanding that the Supreme Lord is Krishna. That statement has become a postulated statement now. Now we see in the next slide. Shastra hum vishwas kyun kare? Why do we believe in Shastra? Why do we believe in Shastra? That has been cleared yesterday only, right? Now, Srila Prabhupada is a teacher, is our co-founder, and is our founder Acharya. And if we read his books, and if we actually try to understand a saintly person, one of the feature of a saintly person is that he never compromises. He never compromises with the statement of the Vedas. He never said any statement to meet whatever you think. Like, for example, if someone likes potato, we glorify potato. If someone likes cabbage, we glorify cabbage. If someone hates dalia, we also hate dalia. We're trying to please them. But a saintly person does not do that. Right? He says what the Vedas are saying, because the Vedas are coming from Lord, and the Lord is the supreme personality, is the supreme. He is the biggest. He is to be accepted as authority. So our faith, like, we can even give faith. Everything is based on faith. Everything. We have faith on the building. We have faith on a computer. Our whole life is based on the faith on our phone. We can believe all of this, and we can't believe the words of God. It's very funny. It's very funny and a sad reality of life. We can even, all our money, everything, we can even, put faith on this non-living, what do I say, non-living bank, non-living ATM, non-living storehouse where monies are kept. We can believe in that, but we cannot believe in the words of the Supreme Lord. That's why the Shastras have been given, because they are the authoritative statements. And just like you said, until and unless we are not convinced, conviction basically produces the seed of faith in our heart. And with that seed of faith, of Shraddha is there, then it becomes easy for us to receive to the instruction. And when we follow the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, it has been claimed by great personality that will be free from the misery, right? So that's why Bhagavad Gita and the scriptures, they're complete. And having faith in them will actually help us to free ourselves from the miseries. The next slide we have already discussed, that just like a Nokia phone, just like a phone, there are a number of phones which are being manufactured in the company, and each of the phone has a manual. As a part of its complete set, manual is there. Similarly, for this human body, for this vehicle called as human body, and for the SIM card, that is soul, there is a manual card. There is a manual book known as Bhagavad Gita. But now we come across, now we see a picture here. Hema, that person is meditating on a different deity, was meditating on goddess Durga. So what about all these other gods? Now we have come to an understanding that there is a definition of God which Krishna fits in correct, has proven, and we have the books like Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, where it has been detailed, there is detailed description of how he has proved each of the opulences, and he has claimed himself to be God, right? And we also have seen the verdict of the other teachers in the line, right? Like Jesus, like Lord Buddha, etc. We have come to understand. So we are convinced. But there is a question in our head. Okay, fine, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But what about the other gods? Because there are so many still in my temple, till today, the temple of my house, there are so many gods, so many photographs still there. Lord Brahma, Vishnu, there is Shiva, Ganesha, Hanuman, there is Lakshmi, there is Saraswati Ji, there is Goddess Durga. So what about all of this? What have they got to say about the Supreme God? Now let's see. In this next slide, we have already seen in the next slides, if we just skip the sides, we've already covered this definition of Bhagavan. So there, the Sanskrit slokas have been there. So if we see, next slides, we have talked about the definition of God and how Krishna fits in correct with all this definition, like he's the supreme controller. Okay, so in the next slide, we go down to the slide where we see Lord Brahma. Yes, let's fix there. Now let's see what these great personalities like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they have to say about this thing. Now, let us say what it is. Brahma, in his Brahma Samhita, he says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So, what does this mean? It's a huge statement. Brahma, like we said, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave. The first created being, he has been created from the navel of the Supreme Lord. From the navel. Unlike babies who are birthed after the fusion of zygote and sperm. A baby is usually born in a material in this world, right? Usually a baby is born after the fusion. A gamete is formed and the baby is born. But the Supreme Lord is creator in true sense. He doesn't even need that process. He simply created the first created being Brahma from his navel. So he himself is the father and mother. He's the seed. He himself said that I'm the seed producing father, right? Seed giving father. And here, Brahma, who actually got the knowledge, every knowledge, right from his heart, Krishna incited that knowledge to him in his heart. And he's saying, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. If we see that, Ishvara, if we just understand a literal meaning, Ishvara, Parama, the chief among all the gods, because all are gods. Yes, that is not an undeniable fact. It is true that all of this Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord, Goddess Durga, Lakshmi, they are all gods. But among all these gods, Parama, the chief, is who? Is Krishna. Because Krishna is Sachit Ananda Vigraha. He is the epitome. He is the example of completeness. He knows past, present, future. He has all the six opulences. He is the chief among all the gods. And he is Anadir Adir. Nobody knows about his beginning, neither the end. He is the creator, Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. He is the cause of all the causes. That is the verdict of great personality like Brahma. And we know, since we belong to Brahma, yes, we belong to which university? From the Brahma University, right? So he's saying, please, if you could mute yourself for some time. So he has given this verdict. It is not a small thing. The Lord himself says that I cannot be understood by senses, by your intellect, or by your yes or your no. Like, for example, very simple understanding. Fire is there. If you say to a child, hey, the fire is going to burn you. The child is way too smart. We call it over smartness or foolish, in other words. Goes and puts her hand inside the fire. It will burn. It will not say that, oh, little child has come, I will not burn. No, the nature of the fire is that it will burn. Similarly, truth is truth. It cannot be changed. Just because we don't believe, it doesn't change. But if we are intelligent, that we are viveki, right? In the first class itself, we have said that we are viveki. So we will hear. Hearing is the way to see. And in Vedic, there is a Shabda Praman. The words actually helps us to see. So these words from great authority like Brahma is helping us to see the greatness and the supremacy of Lord Krishna. And not just, and in the Brahma Samhita itself, if we go further, now beautifully, Brahmaji has actually made a link with Ganesha. Vigna Vinashak, right? Vignaharta, we say, right? Lord Ganesha is worshipped very much in places like Maharashtra and all. So there, it's beautifully said in Brahma Samhita 5.50. If you read there, it's clearly said, Yada Padda Pallava Yugam Vinitya Kumbha, Dvande Pranama Samaye Sakanadhiraja, Vignan Vinatu Malamasya Jagat Prayasya, Govindamadi Purusham Tam Maham Bhajami. If we again read it, Yada Pada Pallava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha, Dvande Pranama Samaye Sakanadhiraja, Vignan Vihantu Malamasya Jagat Prayasya, Govindamadi Purusham Tam Maham Bhajami. Here, if you see the second line, Dvandve Pranama. Who is doing this pranama? And to whom? The Lord, Rasi Ganesha, the Lord with big tongue, the Lord of troops, the Lord of troops, is actually bowing down. Bowing down to whom? To Lord Krishna, to Lord Govinda. And the translation is saying, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. Lord Ganesha have been given a department, which department? That he can finish away, seize away all the obstacles that great living entities face, not just in this world, but in the three worlds. Yes, that he is so powerful. But now we understand the source of the power of Ganesha. What is it? It's from Krishna. It's from Lord Govinda, the other name for Krishna. Because he's bowing down and he's asking blessing from Lord Krishna to give him the power so that he can do his job properly. Here is the power of the most powerful. It's coming from Krishna. Not only Ganesha. We'll see another sloka. Brahmaji is again quoting Durga, goddess Durga. Like there are a lot of people who worship Durga, right? Goddess Durga is being worshipped, especially in Bengal and especially in most part of India. So in 5.44, it is clearly said, Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chavyeva Yasha Bhuvanani Biharta Durga Icha Anurupa Apiyasya Chacheshatasa Govindamadi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. If you again open the words and if you try to understand, translate it, Shrishti, creation, Sthiti, maintenance, Pralaya, destruction. All of this is been taken care by whom? Is been taken care by Goddess Durga. This material nature or the Prakriti is representative of Goddess Durga, which we will talk tomorrow in depth. But today we must know that this Prakriti is taken care by whom? By Durga. And Goddess Durga is taking care of three important things: creation, maintenance, and destruction. But is she independent? This question is answered in the second line. Chavevya yasya bhuvanani biharta Durga. Okay, third line, sorry. Icha anurupa api yasya chasvita sasya. Here we see that api yasya. Yasya basically here means by the will of the Supreme Lord Krishna. By the will of Supreme Lord Krishna, it is being done. So if we have to understand the position of Goddess Durga, is like the literal meaning of the word Durga means Durga means prison and means actually who loves to go to a prison. We're not supposed to go. It's not to go place, Durga. But even if one gets into, it's very difficult to get out. Right? Now by this time we are well oriented. The moment we get a body, yes, we know we are eternal soul. We know that we actually can remember things. We have knowledge in us also. Eternal and knowledge. And we want to become happy. So just like Krishna was Satchit Ananda Vigraha, we are also Satchit Ananda. We also are what? We are also eternal. Sat. We at the same time, we are what? We also have the knowledge, but we forget. We are also very much knowledgeable, but we are forgetful. Unlike Krishna, who is not forgetful. And the last thing. Okay, you can mute yourself. Hare Krishna, I think Tapeko mic unmute, sir. You could actually mute yourself. So we continue. So what do we understand? That Krishna is knowledgeable, right? But we are forgetful. We also want to become happy. If we open the books, Srila Prabhupada continuously repeat, we are what? Anand Mayo Vyasa. We always want to be happy. Is it or not? We want to be happy. That's why we are here for 7 days seminar, investing such amount of time, so expensive time here. Why? Because we want to be happy. Similarly, we also have all these qualities. But, however, we are not great as God. Similarly, Durga, which means we have studied from the first session only, that as soon as we get body, irrespective of the fact that we are eternal, but still we have to go through the process known as birth. For birth also we have to wait for 9 months. After 9 months of misery is finished, then we take birth, and again the pain of growing. Pain of growing. It's very painful. It's not happy days, reading so many things. So then going through all of this, again we become old, then we die. This process is going on. Punarapi Jananam, then again we go back to this cycle again and again. It's quite painful. So we understand that it's like a prison. This world is like a prison house, like we have already defined. Tukhalyam asashvatam. One thing that it is full of misery, and another thing it is temporary. So this temporary world and this place full of misery is being taken care by whom? Durga. Her position is clear here. She is not Supreme Lord. Neither Lord Ganesha was, neither Jesus was, neither Buddha was, neither Brahma is. Now neither Durga is. Why? Because the third line is saying, Icha anurupam api yasya. Because whatever she does is basically being done as per the will of someone. Who is that someone? That's Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna says, whatever, as per the dictation of Lord Krishna, it is being done. The example is like that of a very big engineer of a construction. The engineer is actually the credit holder of the creation, but it is not necessary that the engineer has to be pasting each of the brick to make the house. He will design, but without his will, not even a brick will be pasted. Similarly, not without will of Krishna, without the will of the Supreme Lord, not even a blade of grass moves. Here exactly, this is clearly stated here. Icha anurupa apiyasya. So we understand that neither Brahma, neither Durga, neither Ganesha, no, they're not. We understand their position here. Now we see great, even Indra, Indra. He also nicely chastised God. If you see in book of wisdom like Bhagavatam, in Canto 10, in chapter 25, text 5, this has been described. So now let us move on with further slides. So you see here, if you go down, yes, so the definition that we were talking about, the definition of God is there in the screen, which we have already discussed. And so we move forward again and again downwards. So we talked about Sampati is the wealthiest of the wealthiest. He is the most like the Govardhan Hill. There you can see the picture. And similarly, he is the who does not know about Krishna. And again, Brahma in Brahma Samhita has explained about the beauty of Krishna. Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dalaya Kaksham Parahavatim Samsita Buddha Sandarangyam Kandarbha Koti Kamaniya Visesha Shokam Govindamadi Purusham Amaham Bhajami. This can also be a very good sloka for understanding how beautiful the body of Krishna is. How can anybody claim that Krishna does not have a body? It's clearly said by Krishna, by Brahmaji. I worship Lord Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with a beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. So beautiful have been said. We have already discussed about his definitions. He's the most knowledgeable and he's the most renunciate, irrespective of everything that he possesses. He is not at all proud about all of this. So we move on with the slides and end up to an interesting question that we are actually answering now. So now we have come to a conclusion. Neither Ganesha, neither Durga, neither Brahmaji. So who all are they? What are their positions? We have to understand their position in order. Okay, now we have understood that Supreme Lord is Krishna. Bhai ye sab kaun hai? Hame janna hai. So then we see. We'll understand in the next slide. Can we have the next slide? With a very simple understanding. Once there were a troop of people who were one of the participants here wants to become a traveler. So they were also aspiring travelers. So they were going. They were traveling many villages. So as they were traveling villages and they wanted to visit mountains, so as they were traveling mountains, so they they went to a village and they were very much, they were very thirsty, like me right now. So they were very thirsty. So they wanted to drink water. Now there were villagers, and villagers are very so everybody the guest whoever comes. So all the villagers came. Some ladies saying, my the water coming from my well is so tasty. Please come. It's the sweetest. It's the most purest. They started glorifying their own wells. They started glorifying. No, my well is sweetest. The other person saying, no, my well. I have done so much amount of good construction of my well. The water here is so cold. It's so good for you to drink. Very pure. They were glorifying each of the wells. And the villagers were like, and the travelers were like, should we go? We are thirsty. We want water to quench our thirst. Why? Whom to go? They were like, if I go to this, then the other person will feel bad. So on. That was going on. A lot of dilemma was going on. Then suddenly, a very intelligent person came into being. He was actually the representative of that village, and he said, you know what? For the record, the source of all the water coming to all the well is same. Okay. So you may wish to take from anywhere. It will be the sweetest, it will be the same. Similarly, like we saw in the upper, there is sun. So sun is known as sun. Sun is also known as Dhani. Sun is also known as Surya. Sun is also known as Aditya. Sun is also known as Sol. Sun is also known as Bhaskar. Sun is also known as Divakar. Does that change what sun is? No, its name. So Krishna also has unlimited name. Just like all these people are saying, my well is sweetest, my God is the best, my God is the best, my God is the best, my God is the best. Krishna says that in each and everything, Sarvasya. I am there. I am the source of everything. All of this belongs to me. I am the source, right? So what about all of this? What about this different name? What about this different God? Who are they? What are they? So if you see in the coming slides, the slides could be moved forward downwards. Yeah, more down. Yeah, more down. Yes, so this is basically a slide which is giving all the citation of that the Lord has an eye, the Lord has his feet. Now we don't need to. We have seen a beautiful picture of Lord Krishna. What do we need this? Krishna himself has said, great personalities like Brahmaji who are authoritative have already said. We need not even look at this. But also if anybody says, yes, we have. In great, the other authorities like in Bible, like in Quran have been elucidated about the personal features of the Lord. So no more do we have any kind of doubt regarding whether God is a person. He is a person. He has beautiful eyes. It has been said, Venum Quantum Aravinda Dalai Aksham. So beautifully it has been described that he plays flute. Can he play flute without his hand? No. His body is so beautiful that the cupids are like taken away. He has a beautiful blue colored body. It has been explained. So now our question here is not, we have already cleared all of this. Now we move on to the slide downwards where we say that Yadi Krishna देवी देवता कौन है, राइट? अभी इसमें ब्रह्मा जी कह रहे हैं कि नहीं, परम ईश्वर तो Lord Krishna is, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Then God is Durga is also, the linkage has been said. Ganesha is also not God. So who all are they? Now if we see Lord Shiva, once Parvati, goddess Parvati, ask Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was meditating. And because for Parvati, Lord Shiva is the creator, he's Maheshwara, right? So he's closing his eyes and meditating. And goddess Parvati said, whom are you meditating, my dear husband? Then Lord Shiva said, I am meditating the supreme creator, the supreme cause of all cause. I am meditating on Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord Shiva also meditates on Lord Shri Krishna. It is stated. You can even, there are Puranas which basically talks about the citations. Now, along with this, now we also see Goddess Saraswati. Now, I can tell you one very nice story of Goddess Saraswati. Once, Indra, okay, we see this story in Canto 10, chapter 25 and text 5. Here what happens now, now Krishna in his pastime, in his childhood time, now he sees that in Vrindavan, all the people there, his father is also worshipping Indra. But Krishna says what? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya shaduskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So he sees that the Indra, I will see the various roles of great demigods now. So now, for example, Indra is supposed to give rain. That is his role. We will see his role now. It will be revealed to us in few slides. But now, just understand that Indra is taking the role of pouring water. Like, for example, a milkman is supposed to bring milk, right? He is supposed to bring. If I say to milkman, please bring milk for us, and he's supposed to bring. Do we have to do arati every day to say to milkman, please bring milk every day? We don't have to do that. That was exactly the verdict of Krishna. Krishna said that he is supposed to pour water. These people across the other side, they don't do this unnecessary worship. This has not been cited in the Shastra, in the Vedas. Why you are doing? Stop this. So when Indra heard from his place that, oh, this Krishna, for him, he was bewildered. That's why they say that great personalities like Indra is also bewildered of the personality of Krishna. And it's only the devotee, because Krishna himself says that I can be known only through my devotees. Such is the greatest position of devotee. Here we see. So he's bewildered. Then what he says? Vachalim balisham stabdam yam pandita maninam. He says very clearly here. Hare Krishna, is my voice cracking? I hope I'm able to hear. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
We are in the mood, so let's get back into the mood. So now, Indra is saying to Krishna, okay, what is he saying? He's saying, Vachalam, this person is so talkative, over talkative. Along with that, he's saying he's such a child and he talks big. He's so arrogant that he's saying this to me. Along with that, he says he's Agnyam and he considers himself as Pandita. You know, he's such a foolish person and he's considering himself as great Pandita, great saint. And he's just a simple human being and he's taking help from, and he's with all this coward boy against me. Oh my God. He's saying all this to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Now there is another goddess Saraswati. Now, you know, we will be revealing various departments. So goddess Saraswati, we know, is the god of knowledge, right? Is the god of speech. So now she's supposed to, this has been addressed now. Indra has addressed this to Krishna. Now this will go to Krishna. Now goddess Saraswati is the devotee of Lord, just like Indra is. But Indra is bewildered because he developed pride, because he thought he is God. Like a servant, if he presumes the role of a owner. The same was the position of Indra. So he did that. So on this, now goddess Saraswati, what she has to do, she knows that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So in this, flips the word. Now she flips the word from bad to good. From bad to good. Now she says, Vachalam. He said, over talkative to Krishna. And now Saraswati, goddess, is a devotee. She's saying, you're so wonderful. You're so wonderful. How much we should talk about you. Endless. And you, even if you're the great supreme creator, the cause of all causes, but still you're acting, you're not just reciprocate to your devotee, you're acting like a child and drinking milk from the breast of Yashoda. Along with this, he says, stop them. Indra said, what? Indra said, ignorant. Now she's saying, you are so great that you don't have to bow down to anybody. And Agnyam, unlike others who have to go and search for knowledge, you don't have to search for knowledge. Pandita, you know, past, present, future, you are the greatest Pandita. So he flipped the words. So we see even from the authority of goddess Saraswati, because she knew that the supreme personality of God is Krishna, that she had to flip even the words of Indra. And even Indra, Ji, is also devotee of the Lord. So it was just some pastimes that they had, that they were in position But one realization is that even great personalities are bewildered. Such is the greatness of human birth, that we have given this opportunity to understand all of these things. So now we go. Now we have to understand what is the relationship. Now we understand that Krishna is the supreme lord. Now we understand that even goddess Ganesha or all the other goddesses, they are also not God. But what are they? Now for that, we have to go back, go up with the slides. Or yes, even that slides could be kept. We have to understand with the logic. Just like an organization is there. We see in the slides there. We have already passed the slides. So we see that there is a CEO of an organization, the main owner of the organization. And there are different departmental heads, right? Similarly, the CEO, as per the Sastra, as per the words of Krishna, by all of this, we understand that Krishna is the CEO. But it's not possible for the CEO to visit each of the houses. Like, for example, Bill Gates, or we say Steve Jobs. Yes, he's the founder, creator of Apple, right? Company known as Apple. He made Apple available for everybody. But does Steve Jobs, though he left the body, but still saying, does he come to our house every day whenever one purchases a copy of phone? No, he does not. There is a different representative of Bill Gates who come and who give, Steve Jobs, who come and who give us, who deliver us. So similarly, we see that if we could just go on to the slide downwards, that if you see the slides, you will see down. Yes, now. Yes, we see like there in the slides could be frozen slowly. There are different departments, like in India, the Prime Minister is one. Then we have different departments. Like we see, there is Rajya Mantri. Someone is Rajya Mantri. Similarly, in the main government of God, God is the Prime Minister, is the CEO. So we have different places, like Ganesha is taking care for all the obstacles, will remove obstacles. Like Indra is necessary, is very much responsible for rain, for weather department. Similarly, for home department, taking care of this material world, this prakriti where we are born, rules and regulation. If we do bad, then we have to, if we kill someone, we have to go to jail. So this thing is taken care by Goddess Durga, which we have already said. For money, the treasurer, for money, not treasurer, but the main money, or we would say that it is finance department is taken head by Goddess Lakshmi. So this way, all of the great, we call them demigods, all this God, they are all God, but they are representative of the Supreme Lord. They are working under the will, under the decision, under the leadership of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So now next question comes. Now we have understood that they are servants. That's serving. If someone is serving someone, he becomes servant. Does not necessarily mean it's a bad position, but it's a very good position. Now we will see a comparison between Devi Devta and Bhagavan. In the coming slides, in the down slides, we will see. Yes. So we see here, there is one Lord, there is one Krishna. Krishna is one. Krishna is complete because he said Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha. And on the other side, there are more than one God, demigods. There are many. And we say that demigods also have some power, some degree. Some have some knowledge power, some have some wealth power. Just like we said, Krishna has all of them. That's why he's God. But they only have some, only part. So they are part. That's why it's known as Ant. And then similarly, what are they doing? The chief is CEO, but they are also departmental heads. So they are working. So they are servants. So we come to a conclusion now that the Supreme Lord is Krishna. And everybody, the great book of authority, the book of wisdom says, Krishna, he himself says, then great personalities, they themselves says. And even the demigods, whom we have presumed to be God, they themselves bow down. They themselves bow down to Krishna. This has been said, cited in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, the last book, in the last chapter, chapter 13, text 1. There, this great personality is known as Suta Goswami said, onto the personality whom Brahma, we have already said, Brahma said, what does it say? Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha. He has already said. Varuna, Indra also somewhere, he has also cited in so many slokas, which I have not dealt. Rudra, even Rudra, Marutis, Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, so many people, they are praised by chanting the transcendental hymns, songs, reciting the Vedas with all their friends and corollaries, all these demigods, they are bowing in front of Lord Krishna and they are giving what? Downwards, they're bowing down at the lotus feet of Krishna, whom the great perfected yogis see within their minds after fixing themselves, and whose limit can never be found by any demigod or demon. Anadir, Adir. Nobody knows where God began, where God ended. Even the demon, even nobody knows. Unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my humble obeisances. It has been said. This sloka clearly says about the supremacy. It states the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. So with this, today's session is clear. Now we know who God is. God is who? God is the Supreme God is Krishna. And all others are their servant or they are serving under the will of Krishna. Now in the next slide, we'll see a very interesting aspect. Though today the classes have been extended a bit, but since this is a very relatable and a relatable topic, so let's just finish it. So next to next slide. Next to next slide. Next to next slide. Yes. No. The slides above. No, up. You need to go back to the slides. One more slides above. Thank you so much. Okay, let's freeze the slides there. Now you see. So what happens to the demigod worshippers? What is the benefit and what is the limitation? Now you see, now we are believers of Krishna, so we don't have any problem. We'll believe in Krishna and that's it. But to those people who believe in demigods, what are we supposed to say to him? Because he's also doing something. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, depending upon the degree of surrender, whomever you surrender, I reciprocate. Right. And whoever you worship, you're actually worshiping me. Right? You're actually worshiping me. But you're not, that's not the complete way. That's not the right way. That's not the right way. Now you see the benefit of doing demigod worship. Demigod worship, yes, it gives you benediction. Because like I said, some have the benediction to give you wealth. Some have the benediction to give you knowledge. If you worship them, they will be pleased. They will give you back. The best example is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is very merciful. He's very merciful. So Ravana, great personality, is the Lord of austerity. And he was a disciple of Lord Shiva, right? He was a great follower of Lord Shiva. But the problem with demigod worship and demigod worshippers is that when we eat too much, there is indigestion. And that indigestion basically leads to what? Leads to conditions like diarrhea. And when there's too much of diarrhea, the nutrients, the good things in you die off. And sometimes even you may die. Similarly, what demigods give you, they will not look whether that's something that you can digest or not. When they're pleased, when they're happy, as per what you have done to them, they will give you whatever you want. Just like Ravana. Ravana was given such, after his austerity, he was given 10 heads. He was so intelligent, he was so powerful. But it was his power that led to ignorant state of his being, that led to his destruction. Right? That led to his destruction. So the problem or the limitation of demigod worshipping or worshipping over the worshipping of Krishna is like Krishna says himself. He himself says in Bhagavad Gita. What does he say? He says that I am not biased to anybody. Listen very carefully, Arjuna. I am not biased to anybody. I'm equal to everybody. And I'm not that I'm a special friend to anybody. I'm everybody's friend. Suridam sarva bhutana, he says. But I'm very particular about my devotees. I give them what that they can digest. And at the same time, I protect what they have. And I give them what that they need. That is only their need. I give them what they need. I don't give whatever they like. So that's why that is a benefit. Like, for example, when we pour water, there is an analogy in the screen. When we pour water to the root, automatically what happens? The leaves, the flowers, or the stems, everybody is hydrated. And it has a benefit. Similarly, when we pray to the Supreme Cause, Lord Krishna, everything, all the demigods are happy. Because even the demigods are taking, they take to worshipping Krishna. It is proven today. Brahmaji, goddess, goddess Durga. I'll tell you the story of goddess Durga, what she did tomorrow, not now, but everybody worship. So when we worship, automatically everybody will be happy. So now what should be the attitude? Now we know demigod, what is the position of demigod. Now tomorrow you might be very fanatic and you say, oh, Krishna is the only God, and others go away. No, that's not the reality. Because always remember, Krishna himself has said, more than worshipping me, I would be very pleased if you worship my devotee. If anybody becomes a faithful lover and a lover of my devotee, I'll be more pleased. So they all are what? They all are all devotees of the Supreme Lord. All the demigods, they are all devotees of the Supreme Lord. So we have to respect them. Everybody is respectable. But Pujaniya, worshipable, is the only one. Who is he? Govinda. That's why again and again in the Brahma Samhita, what does Brahma say? Govinda Madi Purusham. He again and again says what? He says again and again the same thing. He's again and again saying Govindam Adi Purusham Aham Bhajami. I worship Lord Govinda, the primeval Lord. Again and again, why is he saying? So that we understand. Because repetition means there is something very important point that we have to understand. So we come to an understanding that everybody should be respected because they are, first of all, working for the will of Krishna, by the will of Krishna. They're loving devotees of the Lord, taking up different positions. Goddess Durga, irrespective of how much she loves Krishna, is taking the role of a jailer. It's very difficult. Everybody hates her, but she's taking even that position to please Lord. So they are so great personalities. We have to respect them. But at the same time, we should know that they have said whom to worship, and that's Krishna. So the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Creator is a person, and who is he? He's Krishna. So that's why the prayer that we cited yesterday also, Vanchakalpatarupesha Kripasindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanetyo Vaishnavevya Namo Namah. What are we saying? Just like he said in the first day, Krishna himself says that, more than Krishna's devotee, they're merciful. And they all are devotees, the great gods, all the demigods are great devotees of the Lord. So we should always bow down to them and say, great devotees of the Lord, please bless us that we could understand the Supreme Lord. We could reach out to him. Because you all say, because the great personalities say that the happiness lies by understanding him. So please give us that understanding. So that should be the attitude by which we should worship all the demigods. In that way, we will not be disrespectful to anybody. And at the same time, we know who's to be worshipped and who's to be respected. So with this, I end my session today. So now the last slide, we could just skip and we could go to the last slide. Yeah, and the next slide, yes, we can freeze there. So what should be the attitude? Here it is said, just like the chief officer is very much respected, but at the same time, we don't disrespect his serving officials, the one who's subordinate to him. Same is with God and the demigods. So in the last slide, the slides could be moved downwards. Yeah, so the myths, we have a little bit. So the myths have been culminated here, totally. What are the myths? Vedo mein devtao ki puja ka vidan hi kyun hai has been there. Why? Krishna ki puja karke kya मैं अपने आराध्य देवता का अपमान नहीं कर रहा हूँ? यदि मेरी भौतिक इच्छाएं है तो मैं क्या करूँ? All these answers have been answered. What should be our attitude? Our attitude is that we should respect everybody, but our worshipable God, as per all the sastras, authority, these great personalities, is Lord Krishna. And Krishna himself says, as per the degree of surrender, you are reciprocated. Of course, if anybody says, no, I still want to worship my own demigod. Okay, fine. Krishna says it's okay. Whatever kind of worship you do, you will get that kind of destination, which we will talk in tomorrow or future sessions. But now it's clear. Now the last picture, the most beautiful picture. Let us just have a look at the last slide. More. Yeah, there we can see who says that the God, the Supreme Creator, is not a person. Whoever says is blind. not just physically blind, but spiritually also blind, like Dhritarashtra. He was blind. Krishna was there, but he could not see. Similarly, God is a person, and God is so beautiful. It has been described. Venam Kunantam Aravinda Dataya Kaksham. So it has been that how beautiful the Lord Krishna is there. So with this, we understand that the worshipable Lord is Lord Krishna, Lord Govinda, Radhesham Sundar. They are to be worshipped, and all his part, all his ansh is to be worshipped. Now we end with a question. If God is Supreme Lord, if we are eternal, if demigods are serving for Lord, what are we doing? What is our position? And what is the dharma that is distinguishing us from animals? This question will be answered in tomorrow's session. So with this, I end the session, and the hymn very famous that we're talking about, that God is very much happy when we respect, when we adore, when we ask mercy to the most merciful personalities like Vaishnavas, the great devotees of the Lord. So we should pray to all the God. Right now we talked about so many gods, right? We gave a thought about them. So they will be hearing somewhere or the other. So let us pray, let us close our eyes and be thankful and pray for the mercy that great teachers bestow upon us. And the God inside your heart, the God inside my heart, He is worshipable Lord Krishna. So let's close our eyes, be in the prayerful mode, and close the chapter by saying, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva-cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna, for being so attentive. Really sorry that the classes did extend half an hour more because the topics were little long, and it took time for me to share whatever I've heard. And in relation to the question and answer session, it can be very much entertained and be clarified with the help of WhatsApp group. I'll be very happy. We all will be very happy to share our understanding about the same with the help of Shastras. So today we exclude or we cut off the questioning session here, but the questions can be very much written in the group and it will be answered quickly. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Sweta Mataji, for the wonderful session. Yeah, it takes a little bit long today, but the topic was very much clear now. And I thanks all the participants. सबैजनालाई म थ्याङ्क यू भन्न चाहन्छु यति धैर्य गरेर आजको यति लम्बा सेसन सुनिदिनको लागि। यो सेसनको क्विज हामीले ग्रुपमा सेन्ड गरिसकेको छौँ। छिटो गएर क्विजलाई सल्भ गरिदिनुहोस् ताकि भोलिको विनर हजुर पनि हुन सक्नुहुन्छ। अरु भोलि पनि 11 बजे हाम्रो सेसन स्टार्ट हुन्छ, प्लिज समयमा आइदिनु होला। अरु कुनै पनि प्रश्न छ जस्तै कि माताजीले भन्नुभयो हजुरले ग्रुपमा सोध्न सक्नुहुन्छ। केही पनि प्रश्न छ नझिझक मानेर ग्रुपमा सोधिदिनु ताकि कन्सेप्ट हजुरको पनि क्लियर होस्, किनकि सेसन लामो भयो त्यही भएर हामीले क्वेशन एन्सर दिन सकेनौं। एन्ड म फेरि सबैजना थ्याङ्क यू भन्न चाहन्छु। अरु भोलि समयमा आइदिनु होला। थ्याङ्क यू सो मच। हरे कृष्ण।